Hello everybody and welcome back to Helm's Deep Historic Site. I have another pack opening today. Not a pack opening, but a sealed product opening from set 2 of Lord of the Rings trading card game, Mines of Moria. In the last video, we opened a full booster box of packs, and we're going to do that again next because I did get another one. Same situation, discounted price because customs ripped open the box and looked for drugs inside. So I bought the price at a discount because the original buyer wanted to buy it as a sealed product. So yeah, that's why it's ripped apart and has a sticker over it. And what I learned from the last box is that they even cut open one pack to look inside. So one pack will already be ripped open into. Luckily, nobody really knows. Like, if there was a Balrog in there, like, foil, I don't think they would know that's worth money and just pocket it. So we didn't pull a Balrog foil last time, but I intend to. I'm gonna make a promise, not with any sort of specific time frame, but I won't stop until I pull one of those. I want one bad. And then I'll stop, then I'll retire. So let's start with Gandalf. I love this set, and the Mines of Moria is my favorite sequence in the whole movie. Like, the action sequences, like the first time you really see the Fellowship fight together. But also, I think it holds, a lot of people know thematically for the whole series, it kind of has the most important scene in the whole series in a plot theme kind of lens, which is Gandalf sitting down with Frodo after Frodo sees Gollum for the first time in the cave, or the mines. He runs over to Gandalf and says he sees something, and Gandalf proceeds to tell him, yes, he's been following us for 3 days. It's Gollum. Gollum is a walking example of what should happen if you fail. If the ring corrupts you, you become just like the creature you're scared of that's been following us. And it's terrifying. And Frodo says Bilbo should have killed him when he had the chance. And then Gandalf goes on to say, that the whole thing about mercy and, when to deal out death and when to decide whether or not to take a life. And I think throughout the whole series, the whole franchise, that is the central dramatic question that all of the characters rotate around. When do you kill and when do you show mercy? When do you fight? When do you stay back? What's worth fighting for? So here we go. Gandalf starter deck. Just gonna hold. I'm not gonna read all that. I'm just gonna hold up if anybody's curious what the up close packaging looks like. So contains 30 fixed cards, 3 random rare cards, and a rule book. And it's my understanding that there can be foils in here. I'm not sure about pull rates or anything like that. It's not like Pokemon, right? It's there's not as much data. Maybe I just haven't found the right resource yet, but I don't know anything about my odds here. but I want to just show you guys what happens when you open one of these things and what's inside. So I'll start by taking out the rule book. So I was a kid and I was like 10 years old when this came out. Me trying to read this and understand it, wow, like that was too much for a 10-year-old. So we made up our own rules and just kind of went to war with them. We played 1v1, and we had one person was the bad guys only and one person was the good guys only, and we just battled. But for anybody starting out, like, it's best to put this flat down on the table because it's just a reminder of the turn sequence. You can kind of just follow along here. So whenever I was learning, I used to put this next to my draw deck. I got a little fancy, ordered some aquarium rocks to use as wound tokens. Red ones for that, and black ones for burdens and shadow. Okay, Twilight, sorry. Twilight, shadow, what's the difference? Oh, there's a big difference, I guess. So we have Gandalf. He's going to be our starter. We have Frodo and the Ruling Ring. Gandalf spell. So it's obviously a Moria deck. That makes sense. So I'll just start piling up shadow cards and Free People's cards and see if we can figure out what is in here that is a rare. If there's a foil, I assume that those 3 cards are at the back, but I don't know. So no other companions yet. There must be others, but there is a double Gandalf for the heal. Oh, and we have Mary, so I'll put Mary there. We got Barlaman. This, if you're playing Fellowship block on Gemp, your chances are you're going to see this card. This is a commonly used card in tandem with some condition cards that just kind of create a Twilight generating machine using weapons. So whenever I'm using a Moria deck, I always have 4 of these in the deck, 4 Goblin Scimitars, and a couple of those conditions. I'm failing on the name right now, but it'll probably come up. Those conditions that allow you to add a Twilight every time you play a weapon. And if you have 4 of them, it's like you play 1 weapon and bam, 4 Twilight, and you have enough to play a Cave Troll or something, for instance. And I always keep 4 of these because after sight 4, it's no longer roaming, and it's just a free minion plus a Twilight bonus. And oftentimes when a ring bearer gets swarmed to death in a game, it's because this card is involved. There's usually a couple of these that are left to distribute by the shadow player, and that's usually how those games go. Okay, we have Legolas. That's great. Starting to worry for a sec. What I want to do is use the cards that I pulled from this deck to add to these, because it's only a 63 card set. We have room for more, or we have room to add and subtract. So what I want to do is see what these decks are all about, and then use the cards over here that I pulled from this box to turn these into competitively matched decks that I can then demonstrate going head to head, and all of the cards in both decks will be from this set, and we'll kind of see what are two different kinds of decks we can build and how strong can we make them. Legolas, that's not my favorite Legolas to use. I like the one where you can just snipe, like exert to wound, and if you get the one of those rings on him, you get him an extra vitality, and then he has more leverage to do that. This is cool. I learned on Gemp that Bear must be a Moria minion. You could put this on the Balrog. I've done it before. I guess that also means you could put it on Water in the Watcher in the Water, or a Cave Troll. Drums in the Deep. Not a lot of elf cards. Oh, there we go. It's starting to make sense here. It's starting to look like a proper fellowship. They probably don't go over 5. It's probably just this. I might be wrong. The Long Dark. A second Mary for the heal. Or for the draw odds if you're not starting him, which I don't suppose you are because you're using all 4 of your starting power are for Gandalf. I don't usually play with duplicate companions, except like the big dogs like Aragorn or Gandalf if they're not in my starting fellowship. But I do always kind of build my deck so you can get through cards pretty quickly. I keep more conditions than events. Events sometimes clog up the hand, and a lot of cheap minions, so I don't get stuck with the first half of the game I'm playing with a handful of minions I can never afford to play. That's frustrating. And I think that's why I like Moria so much, just game strategy wise too, because you get to play a lot more minions because they're so cheap. So I'm hoping what's gonna happen here is I didn't see a foil in there. It's possible I missed one, but I don't think so. So what I'm hoping happens here is they'll give me 9 locations that suit the companions and the minions we're running with. And then at the back, there'll be the 3 random rares, unless they were mixed in, but I don't know. We're learning here. We're collecting data for the community, I suppose. Exert a Hobbit to play Merry or Pippin for your draw deck. So that's great. If you bid high, you get a extra companion to before you move to your second location, rather than relying on the luck of the draw there. Trollshaw Forest. That's great. I love playing with lots of weapons and possessions, so that's a good sight to have. Play a Hobbit to draw a card, so I guess in case you missed the sight 1, you can hopefully have Mary in your hand by then and get a draw out of it. Moria Lake. Bridge of Khazad-dûm, the only Site 5 in Fellowship block. They designed the whole first 3 sets so that you had to fight the Balrog. And I think that's great, because fighting the Balrog is a really fun part of the game, and once you do that one time, you're kind of hooked. So, makes sense to me. Trimmel Dale, makes sense. Discard every ally. We didn't have many allies. I think we had one of Gandalf's buddies. But that can really hurt somebody if they're depending on allies. Spot 5 orc minions to prevent the fellowship from moving again this turn. That can win you the game if they're, trying to double move to 9, and you can lay down 5 orcs, even if they're the cheap ones. Oh yes, this one. Yeah, if you are playing with a deck that is going to add a lot of burdens to your opponent's ring bearer, bam, you get to site 9. If your opponent gets to site 9 first, you lay this down, and you say they have 5 burdens. You get to draw 5 cards, which gives you much greater odds of overwhelming the ring bearer at site 9, which is really the bet. It's hard. That's probably 99% of the wins with Moria decks are from. You're not just overpowering people to death. You're swarming them. Okay, so what's back here? Let's see. So, okay, this is the rare. Each time you play a shield, armor, helm, or hand weapon, its Twilight's cost is -1. Not bad. Maybe not worth a card space. Great. It's nice to have some of those. Okay. So I don't think we got a foil, but that's okay. We're not just in it for that. I want to build decks with these things. When I opened up this whole box up here, I pulled every card in the set except 4. So I just hit up Philip, the man that runs LotR Canada, LotR Cards Canada on eBay, and I just bought the 4 cards I was missing to complete the set. So these are the only 4 cards after opening a whole box that I didn't pull, and then bought these for pretty cheap, but they're in near mint condition. So it's pretty much a complete near mint. I can't call it a complete fresh pull set yet, but it's a complete near mint with a couple good foils. That's a cool card. I've never seen that used. It drives me nuts when guys make decks that are all about depleting your draw deck, and if you only have one of Legolas, he could just prevent you from ever drawing Legolas. So sometimes people put those types of cards in their draw decks to defend against something like this, where it lets you return a card from the discard pile, not the dead pile, but the discard pile, into your draw deck. So if the worst case scenario happens, you can still get your Legolas out. So I bought this, gonna add that to the book. Uruk Captain, he never came up. He's another rare. All of these are rares. A Promise. I recently did the league qualifiers on Gemp, and I played with a PC block Hobbit deck, and I had 4 of these in there. Pretty much every Hobbit deck I do, I have 4 of these in there. It's awesome. I never really play with the whole Bilbo tail thing, but for those who do, that's a big part of the deck. So those 4 right there after the first box were the ones I had to buy to complete the set. That was before I knew I was going to order a second box, which I did, and we will open soon. So I am going to put the Gandalf stuff aside. would like to just compare the two fellowships. So I'm going to slide these guys up so we can just kind of look at the difference here between the Gandalf Fellowship and the Gimli Fellowship. We don't have Gimli in this one, so I assume we don't have Gandalf in the other. I'm hoping to see Aragorn, I guess. I think that would make sense. We'll probably get a Sam, a Pippin, maybe some Frors. Definitely some Frors. Probably more than one. Oh yeah, I just ripped it open off camera. That's totally defeats the purpose of this, but I mean, I already undid the plastic, so you can tell it's legit. And then the same rule book as last time, which is, it's great to have two of. Gimli. That's a great thing to have in a choke deck, reducing the site's shadow numbers. So, and it's just it. I said it before in the last video, but the thing about these cards is that all the game mechanics they come from plot. It makes thematic sense that each underground site's shadow number would be -2 because you're traveling underground with a dwarf, so you're safer. So how that plays out in the game is your opponent has 2 less shadow tokens to spend, and that's story. That's awesome. So we have the same Frodo and the same ring. Oh, it's a Mordor deck. I did not know that. That's cool. I really do. I really do like some of these Mordor orcs. And that's a huge, like, a lot of times, like, that's just one of the things your opponent forgets about when they're assigning. And that could be the difference. It kind of sucks because it's, you know, there's just so much to consider. Like I've had characters killed because I forgot to consider damage bonuses from cards that are buried under the character cards. So anyway, Dwarf Guard. Oh, okay. So I see what's happening now. Not all of these cards are from Moria. This Boromir and Legolas and Merry, they are all from set 1, Fellowship. Dwarf Guard's from set 1. So I see what's happening here. Okay. So there'll probably be a bunch of those in there. I'm just gonna over here stack up the, let's see, this is a great card if you're playing with a Hobbit deck, against a Hobbit deck. Roaming penalty goes down. That's great because these crazy orcs are roaming up until site 6, which is a pain, but sometimes it's worth it because they are powerful. This little guy, he can win you games. Some people just keep him in their support area till near the end and then sacrifice him against the strongest opponent at one of the late sites. This is a good condition. There's some really good conditions with Mordor orcs. Another dwarf guard in case you... Oh, that's not a unique companion, so you could play 2 of him. Probably going to be a lot of hand axes in here. Orc Scout. This guy, you get to exert him before the fighting even starts. So he's essentially damage +1 unless he exerts for another reason or gets an archery wound before the skirmish phase. Nice little condition. That's a good card. He's a tracker. I think there's a really good card where you must exert a tracker to play down. So he's often the one you see. Farron. So he's a 5, but he goes up to 7 when fighting a Nork. That's probably all the companions will get out of this deck, which I find interesting because it's kind of strange to, like, if I was teaching someone to play the game for the first time using these 2 starters, I would want to have Aragorn, I would want to have Sam, Pippin. The full fellowship would be nice. I think it was a misfire to not have Smeagol in Fellowship block at all. It would have been cool to have that picture of Smeagol still from the movie when he's just peering through the darkness and in the mines looking at Frodo. I don't know what he would do, but like there wouldn't be enough of him to have a whole culture yet, but it would have been cool to have him involved in some way. Smeagol decks are fun. I've been playing a lot with a Smeagol Shelob Marsh deck with Watcher in the Water and all the tentacles and those cards that you turn your opponent's sites into marshes. Yeah, it's a fun little deck. Exert an orc to wound a character he is skirmishing. That's huge. That could wipe somebody out. That's a real sneak attack. So that's all you get. You get Farron and Gimli and a couple dwarf guards and Frodo. No Aragorn, no Sam, no Pippin. Kind of a bummer, but that's okay. West Farthing. Exert a Hobbit companion to play an ally. Okay. I like that one. That makes for an interesting little battle. You get to exert to pump 2. If you're playing against Moria, most orcs don't have the vitality to exert, so it would go well against your opponent here. Yeah. Well, choke. See, I don't get that. There's better sites for this deck. Underground sites, because Gimli or 2 other companions must exert. Why would you have this in your Gimli deck? That doesn't make any sense. We're going to replace that. Bridge of Khazad-dûm, Lothlorien Woods. That's cool, but you don't really have those types of allies in here. So if this had to stay, I might choose to add some Site 6 elf archers. Maybe that should be the rule. Maybe I'm not allowed to remove anything. Maybe I just am allowed to add stuff to it. I think that's what I'll do. Skip the archery phase. Yeah, you're not really using archers. Another archery thing. Three trackers, that's great. That's really, really great. Oh, we got Bill Ferny, big bad Bill Ferny, gonna show the Nazgul where Mr. Underhill is. Nazgul are not roaming. That's huge. I mean, they're only roaming till Site 3, but it, whatever. The Free People's player may not assign a character to skirmish Bill Ferny. Discard Bill Ferny if underground. Huge. Absolutely huge. Because it's like a swarm thing. Like, you get to decide who he fights, and usually you stack him on the strongest minion to double fight someone and try to overwhelm them, or just make sure that they win that skirmish. So that's great. That's a great rare if you're using Sting and Glamdring. And Urk Captain. Wow, that's the one I did not pull from the first box. So that's good. I can swap that out with the near mint one I bought, and now I'm down to, yeah, only 3 cards that aren't fresh pulls. Oh, wait a minute. I think I have a promise in here too. I can't remember now. That's quite all right. So we have our 2 fellowships. We have the Gimli starter deck here, and the Gandalf starter deck up here. So that's what you can expect when you open these sealed products. I don't think I got a foil out of this, but that's totally fine. Yeah. Okay. So I hope that was somewhat informative. I do have a little bonus thing I wanted to open. When I ordered the second box, I was in the process of putting together some decks and just realized I was short some stuff, mostly from Fellowship block, and it was mostly sights and weapons. So I'm just gonna go through this little order I got. I got one of the Tengwar rings just for fun. Frig, it kind of, not gonna lie guys, it a little bit annoys me when I'm playing against someone on Gemp and all their cards are Tengwar, and it's like I can't read that language yet. I am a long ways away from, like, I'm on day 305 of Duolingo French, but I don't know, man. It slows the game down. I have to click on the cards. I'm not that kind of a gamer yet where I remember what each card does. So I do a lot of zooming in. I do a lot of clicking. But the Tangwar ones, yeah, you kind of got to click on them and read them, and it just slows me down. And it's like, good for you. Like, you deserve your Tangwar cards. That means you've accomplished something, obviously. So, I mean, do whatever you want with them. I guess the purpose of the game is to frustrate your opponent. So, you're off to a great start. You know, might as well just do one of those make your opponent discard all their cards decks, because it's the same feeling, right? So I didn't have this, which I would want to put in this deck for Legolas, because 6 is not very... You're not going to win many skirmishes with 6, but if you have this pump up to 7, and he's strength plus, he's 10 when fighting in Nazgul. Each time Legolas wins a skirmish, you may wound a minion. So that could be a minion that could save your game. That minion could be assigned to Frodo along with another minion, and they're going to overwhelm him, and you're going to single-handedly prevent that just because Legolas just beat some goblin runner with 1 vitality. I think I got a couple weapons in here that'll help. Blade of Gondor, damage +1, exert Boromir to wound an orc or Uruk-hai he's skirmishing. So it's basically a frying pan that also works on Uruk-hais, which is awesome. But it makes sense a regular frying pan wouldn't kill an Uruk-hai, because they got those helmets and armor, and they're absolute, like, monsters. Each orc or Uruk-hai skirmishing Legolas is strength -2. Absolutely huge. So now Legolas is set up not just to snipe, but he can actually win some things. I don't think this applies here because it's Aragorn's bow. And we don't have an Aragorn in either of these decks, but oh man, when you do, that's a wonderful card. In conjunction with the other Legolas that snipes, you know, you could deal out potentially 6 if Legolas is wearing that elven ring that gives him an extra vitality, and both of them are full health. You could deal out 6 targeted strikes. You could kill the Balrog with archery, which is rare. So these were some locations that were missing. Important for a Nazgul deck. Get your Sam out. Another Nazgul deck, important one. Marshes. An extra bridge. Okay, those are the locations. I think there's more locations. There's quite a lot of cards in here, I'm not gonna lie. Ranger's Sword. We don't have Aragorn anyway. Oh, these are some towers locations. Fangorn Forest. Man, New Zealand's beautiful. Underground, so technically you could play the Balrog here, which would be a crazy surprise. Wold of Rohan. I thought this said World of Rohan, but it says Wold. I don't know what that means. Okay, Streets of Edoras. Just another Long Knives of Legolas. I'll keep that one in the sleeve. Thank you very much. I think this is just... Maybe this isn't exciting. It's not the same. But... Oh, there we go. We're going to give Frodo a frying pan. Wait. Yes. Oh, there's 2. Thank God. Oh, there's 3. Thank God. Mary can get one too. There we go. And then... Love this one when you're playing Moria because... When you're playing against Moria because it's impossible to swarm me here. And when I'm playing Moria, I often forget to read this location text and end up trying to swarm someone and not even being able to. So, what are you gonna do? Just 2 more little penny sleeves full of moderately played cards that I want to incorporate into decks. I never see this is the worst Sight 9 in Fellowship block. It's there's so many better options. House of Elrond. You see this in almost every Nazgul deck. Free bird and ad. And then down to the last sleeve. So like I said, guys, my next video will be opening this whole other box of booster packs. And once I do that, I am going to make a final Moria video for now, where I make the best decks I can just from sealed products and maybe a few additions. Like like let's see what we can do here. See, I don't care. This is somewhere obviously spilled something on just a little marker stain. I'm buying cards to play with. I don't care if they have hole punches in them. I don't care if your mom had to put your initials on each card to differentiate them from your brother's cards so you wouldn't fight. As long as I can read the game text, I don't really care about conditions. Unless I'm like what I was trying to do with the binder, which is, having a near mint collection complete. Minus foils. I don't have the type of money to try to collect a whole foil set. That's just not going to happen. Foils are cool though. That's cool. I mean, if you're playing against archers, that could save the day. Hornburg Hall. What? I didn't read this one before. Exert 3 companions with the Gandalf signet to play an unbound companion from your dead pile. What are you talking about? I could see if it was Gandalf, but like everybody else is, I don't think they would come back as Pippin the White, that's a strange card. I've never seen this used before. I don't like it. Gotta say, not a fan. Dead is dead. See there, draw deck. That's a great little thing. Proto signet to remove a burden. Good. Burden removal is good. Discard all allies. Yeah. And that is that for now. So, thanks for watching. And I'm not sure when, but maybe next week sometime, I'm going to rip into this next box, and I'll have another video of that posted up soon. But for now, thanks for watching these starter deck openings. I will double check once I stop recording to see if I missed a foil. I don't think I did. So if that remains true, that means just know that if you buy one of these, don't expect a guaranteed foil, which is fine. That's not why I bought them. But if I do find a foil, I will add that to the description or the video. I try to have to do as least editing as I can because I don't really know how to do that yet very well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you on GEMP, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I find the time to rip that open. Thanks for watching.